Hello everyone. Today's topic is steganography. That's a pretty long word, I know, but it's actually a pretty simple concept. It's about hiding a message in plain sight, in such a way that if someone intercepts the message, not only can't they read it, they actually have no idea that there's even a message in there in the first place. The topic we're going to cover today, we're going to cover a number of slides first to see what steganography is all about, and then we're going to have a live demo to actually see what it looks like in real life. So without any further ado, let's jump straight into our slides. So the first thing we have is a definition of steganography. Steganography is defined as the art and science of writing hidden messages in such a way that no one but the intended recipient knows of the existence of the message. Think of this as invisible ink. If a spy in World War II wanted to send a message back to headquarters, they could write a letter to their mum or to their aunt or to somebody they knew, and if you just looked at the letter, all you'll see is the messages on top. But underneath, there's invisible ink that can be seen using some sort of process to extract this message. So this has been used for a very, very, very long time. In fact, Roman generals used to shave the heads of slaves and tattoo hidden messages on them. The slaves' hair would grow back, and when they're sent to another part of the country, the person who knows about the message can shave the slave's head and see what the message was. It was also used in World War II to encode messages in classified adverts, so that messages could be sent long distances with nobody even knowing that the message existed. You can even find reference of this in Sherlock Holmes. In fact, there's a link over here that will take you to how Sherlock Holmes used ciphers and different encryption techniques in the stories that we read. Now, what does steganography mean today? Today, in the age of computers, we all send a lot of media around to one another. Steganography allows us to encode messages in these files, whether they're text, audio, or picture files. There's a number of tools you can try online, including some I've linked to over here. The top three are for Windows platforms, but the bottom one, the online steganography tools, runs in a web browser, which means anyone can try this. We'll actually run through a demo of this later just to see what it looks like. Now, why would somebody use steganography? First of all, you have to have a secret message that you want to pass on. So, for example, if you're a spy or if you're a government agent who wants to get secrets out of a foreign country, or if you have some sort of secret message that needs to go from one place to another, steganography is one of the techniques you could use. It's particularly useful if you don't want to raise suspicion. So if, for example, I wanted to send a message out of this country to somebody else, if the Secret Services saw me sending encoded messages from my laptop to somebody else, this is immediately going to raise suspicions, and they're going to want to know what that message is. Also, if you think you're being monitored, so somebody is watching and you know that somebody is watching what you're sending along, steganography would work really well, because what you send looks like a plain normal message and doesn't look as if there's a message encrypted in there. So we're going to run through a quick demo just to see what steganography really looks like. So I'm going to click back on these online tools that we spoke about earlier. So here is a website that lets me encode a message. It's a very simple website. I've got a message that I want to put in over here. I can attach an image. And what happens is that this image will have the message codified in it. Now, I have a simple image over here, my little minion over here, that's in a 26K file. And what I'm going to do is, let's say I need to hide a message that, for example, the cookie jar is in the shed. So let's imagine that I've got some cookies in my cookie jar. I've got my little sister who's trying to guess where these cookies are. And I'd like to let my cousin know where these cookies are without my sister finding out. I've got a hidden message over here. I can choose a host file to stick my image in. And let's go to that image that we spoke about before. So I've got lessons, I've got steganography, I've got my minion image, and I'm going to put that in here. And all I have to do is click on the button to make it happen. So I've clicked on over here. I'll wait for my image to come up. And here is my image. So I'm just going to download this just so that we can see what it looks like. So that's my minion one. I'm going to open this to look at. and that's my encoded message. This is my source message over here. If you look at the two side by side, you can see that they're virtually indistinguishable. They look exactly the same. There's no hint that this image over here has a message encoded in it. So what happens on the other end? So let's say my cousin comes along and wants to read this image. So if I go back to this tool again, and I choose my file, but I click decode the image this time, and I'm going to pick that image that is now sitting in my downloads folder. So if I go through to downloads, that's the one I just created just now, and decoded is clicked, I click my button, this gets uploaded up to the web server, and the image should get extracted for me to see. So my image is over here, the cookie jar is in the shed. So as you can see over there, the image itself has no indication. So this was my source image, and this was the image that I played with before. So downloads, and let's sort by date and see $1,000,001. As you can see, there's absolutely no indication that not only there's a message about my cookies over here, but there's no image at all in there. So that's just a simple real-life example of what steganography looks like and what we could do with it. So I'm just going to jump back to my slide deck, and after our demo, a quick summary of what steganography is about. So it's an effective way to secure communications, because if you don't know that there's a hidden message, then there's no chance of this message being intercepted. Which brings us to the second point, low chance of being intercepted, as you can see. It's very, very difficult for an attacker to reverse engineer this technique, because if you don't know it exists, then how do you take it out? Each of those different tools we saw before, so we listed 4 different tools for you to play with over there, but there's 30, 40, 50 free tools that one could use, and a whole bunch of others that are paid for. So without knowing which tool was used to encode that file, it's going to be very, very hard for an attacker to reverse engineer. So it's hard to detect, and it's even harder to extract, because different techniques could be used. This makes it very, very effective for the transmission of secure messages, and particularly in locations where you know you're being monitored. So if you live in a country, for example, like China, where all internet traffic is monitored in and out, or if you're based in a corporate environment where, again, there's antiviruses, anti-malware, and a number of different techniques to make sure the data isn't leaked out, steganography provides a route for us to use. Now just keep in mind that in this case, the live demo you saw was actually an image, but steganography can be used in other places. So for example, a sound file can actually have an encoded message in it also. So if all I have is access to a radio, let's say I don't have access to the internet, then steganography could be used in this place. Steganography can also be used in text. So if I have a publication, an article, a newspaper article, or a press release that's being pushed out, I can encode a message in there also, by maybe changing some of the characters or using particular sequences of words that the person who's listening at the other end can detect. So in a nutshell, this is steganography. I hope you've enjoyed the lesson, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to drop me a line in the comments, and I'll be quite happy to answer. Thank you.